Jimmy McAleer found the net. Goal for Wednesday.
Terrific goal by Shayna.
Chris Waddle, is he going to have a crack?
Oh, he does, and it's goal. Still Glenn Wheeler. Aidan Fred wrecks the
Is there time for a winner?
1-0 down. To say we weren't playing great is probably an understatement, but the weather gods were certainly on our side, certainly from a footballing perspective anyway. Hello and welcome to Wednesday Tie-Dye Podcast. I'm James Mappin. Alongside me is Mr. Matt Johnson. Matt, how's it going, mate? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Been interesting. Well, wet weekend. It seems to be this weekend because last year we were away in a house in the Cotswolds for my mother-in-law's birthday. It's when we played Preston, and it was pissing it down that day as well. Where I think Josh Windass missed a penalty. Absolutely lagging it down then. So I don't know what it is about this weekend. Throwing it down every year. Exactly.
I mean, Matt, we certainly got away with one there, didn't we? Well, at the moment, obviously we haven't played the rescheduled fixture yet, but certainly 1-0 down, game gets called off, not playing great. Yeah, certainly got away with one, didn't we?
Yeah, James, I've never been more delighted to see a game being postponed, to be honest. Awful performance. Push this game as far back as you can, post the FA Cup games. Hopefully they've been and gone. We've got a preferred bidder in. The EFL have removed all sanctions. Messi's decided that he needs to keep himself in sharp trim pre the World Cup, so he comes and joins us. Yeah, I mean, again, like it was terrible, and ultimately, the people who I feel sorry for is obviously those who've travelled to the game, but judging by how fine a voice people were in yesterday, and I spoke to Nick, who Nick sits a couple of seats away from me, who had my ticket for the game yesterday because I couldn't go, and he just said, look, it was a great day, the weather was shit, the football was crap, but what a day out. And I was like, that's genuinely, I was like, that's brilliant, because I felt like that at the start of the season. Yeah. I felt exactly the same at the start of the season. It's not a chore, it's great.
Yeah, I mean, look, I know the game got abandoned after 60-odd minutes or whatever it was. We will, for those listening, we will be talking about like the first half and stuff because, well, what else are we going to talk about, to be fair? So we are going to go through all that. I know ultimately it doesn't really matter, but it was still a game of football up until the point where it was called off. We didn't know it was going to be called off, so they should have. We might as well critique it and things like that. We are going to be talking about a bit about what Kris Wigfield said as well. The fact that it's been extended, this deadline for finding out a preferred bidder. So we'll do all that good stuff a little bit later on. Before we do that, I mean, I'm glad to see you've got the memo. All black, like two ninjas sat here this evening. I mean, I know it was bad, but nobody's died, have they, Matt?
No, it's just there's only a very limited colour scheme in my wardrobe, James.
To be fair, there is actually. When I sorted you out with a hoodie and a t-shirt, you're like, was it Henry Ford that said that famous quote? You can have a car in any colour, but it has to be black or something like that. That must be your motto for all your attire. I don't think I've actually seen you, other than when you wear the white Wednesday shirt. That's the only time. Or you occasionally wear a blue and white Wednesday shirt as well. I think that are they the only things that you own that aren't black?
I've got that luminous coat which turns everybody.
Oh yes,
everybody's very it's very Marmite like that one. And I've also got a olive green. I don't mind a bit of olive green, to be fair, but yeah. Aside from that, pretty much the entire wardrobe's black, mate.
Fair enough. Anyway, how's your weekend been? You said it was wet. What have you been up to?
Yeah, it come as no surprise to anybody. Obviously, I've played golf this weekend. I was down in Banbury Way today playing golf, and the front nine was dry-ish, or I suppose as dry as you're going to get this weekend. And then the back nine got like 3 holes in, and like all of us turned around, drowned rats, mate, like proper drowned rats. So
there's not worse than playing golf in the rain when all your grips are piss wet through. You just you take longer doing all the other stuff that you do actually playing golf, don't you? Really, you think,
Correct.
what is the point in doing all this? The brolly's turned inside out, and you've hit a shit shot. You think, what is the point? Like, just get me to the 19th hole, much better.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely correct. We were stood on the 13th, and Scotty, who was one of the lads who we were playing with, he had rain gloves on, he took them off and he wrung it out like a flannel, and it's literally just, we were just like, oh, what on earth is this? But I'm not going to complain, because a day out and an afternoon out playing golf is always better than just sitting in the house, so yeah, fine.
Yeah, I've been to North Yorkshire for my sins. Daughter's birthday on Tuesday, so I went with the family up there. I mean, I literally got in the house about 20 minutes ago, 25 minutes ago. Set off at 6 o'clock, zoomed down to do this podcast. I know people are itching to hear it, of course. And yeah, I mean, I've just been unloading the car. Anyone would have thought that I'd been to the Med on a 2-week all-inclusive holiday with the amount of stuff that we've taken. Jesus Christ, 2 suitcases, a huge hold all, and about 7 of those like heavy-duty carrier bags that are just wedged into the car in every nook and cranny. We literally we set off when the kids got back from school on Friday, and we came back today. Like, literally, how we needed that much stuff, I have absolutely no idea. But I'm sure everyone else listening will have been in that exact same situation at some point. But anyway, and as you rightly said, it pissed it down all weekend. Yeah. Great. Absolutely. Anyway, before we get into the pod and the nitty gritty, I mentioned last week that I'm kind of taking a step back from the socials, from X and stuff, which is a real shame, because we have built an amazing community over there, but just too much negativity for my liking at the moment. Now, I'm not like I'm a happy clapper or anything like that, but there's just far too many arguments and things, and people just trying to drag others down, not just myself, but I see it from other sides as well, and it's thinking, do you know what? It gets to the point where it's all consuming. I know you spoke about it a couple of weeks ago as well, Matt. Like, I asked myself the question: will I come back to it? Probably, like at some point. Maybe when all this is all over, and by that I mean kind of the takeover stuff, and we kind of know who the new owners are, and they've been announced, and things are kind of back to a we're all Wednesday, aren't we? Kind of level, which, to be honest, I don't think we've ever been at that point, if I'm being perfectly honest. But I'm still there. I'm still here. We are still doing the podcast every single week. Just being a bit quiet over on X for the time being. Yeah,
I mean, I'm a week into my X or Twitter detox, whatever you want to call it. I've made a decision. Like, I will go back onto the platform, and I will continue to use the platform, because, again, it is a good platform for certain aspects of being a supporter of this football club. I think at the moment it's a weird time to be a Sheffield Wednesday fan. As I think we spoke about it last week a little bit, James. I can't remember whether it was on Extra Time or not, where the way in which that we entered into administration, there was no build up to it.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of residual anger that has to go somewhere, if that makes sense. And the anger seems to have been directed at one another as a fan base, and people are nitpicking anyone, really. It's clear also, like, there have been a few people who've been waiting for a while to kind of like have a bit of a pop, and that's absolutely fine. That's their prerogative, it is what it is. But it's just one of those situations where, I mentioned it last week, I've given up an awful lot of time this year. I've sacked off christenings of the 2 kids who was the lad who was the best man at my wedding. I've missed weddings. I've, sacrificed like family holidays, all the rest of it. I just realised this month that actually I don't need to be doing that with a wind down to the end of a year. I'm going to just leave it be for a month, 2 months, and then come back and see how it is. Like, again, I'll occasionally check it and just see what's going on, but I can honestly say, James, that I can't be bothered with the nonsense that's on there at the minute, and my life has been a lot more peaceful this week as a result of it.
Yeah, which is a positive. I mean, I must admit, it did feel a bit weird on a match day not doing me, and also with all the stuff that was flying around with it getting abandoned and things. There was many memes that could have been posted to generate a bit of engagement and stuff. But yeah, it was nice just to not have a go. I mean, look, for those that are listening or that follow us over there, and you're thinking, I quite enjoy all that sort of stuff. I have put a link in the notes, in the comments, to the Discord. Do join the Discord. We are very active over there. It's it's a lot. There isn't any of that bollocks that you get over on X and stuff, and you can have a good old discussion and a good old debate over there. So do join it if you want to. Really, let me talk about comments and stuff. Let's get into some of these. We've got Hoopapoose. I know you like that name, Matt.
I do.
He says Evening Owls. Got John as well. He says he won't be invading that pitch this time around. Daniel's in the house. You got CA Owls 75. Liam's just put 3 raining emojis, which is very apt. Barry's in here as well. We've got Big Artist Show. Says, anyone got a brolly? We don't need one now. Certainly needed one yesterday afternoon. Maybe Baz might have needed one playing in that striker role that he was playing in, which we will get onto in a bit. Nat says, can we do a rain dance every time we are losing? Maybe.
I like that.
Maybe. Barry says, anyone know where Kabatsky is? Well, he was in that little picture that was posted. Not a picture, it was a little TikTok or reel or whatever it was.
The Instagram reel,
Yeah, so he's there. He's alive. He's still there. Daniel says, positive at least Piers Charles is back. Yes, we'll get onto that in a bit. Big Rev says, wetsuits. John says, 2 air fryers. John, I'm lost on that one. I know this was at 8:04 and we're now at 8:11. This was 7 minutes ago.
I'm assuming what you were chucking in your car.
Possibly. We didn't take any air fryers, John. We left them at home. Didn't take out. I mean, we might as well have done. Kitchen sink was in there, so maybe air fryers is the new kitchen sink. When everyone said everything but the kitchen sink. But anyway, Big Rev says the white owl costume. No.
Yeah.
That one needs to come out at some point, just for the laugh. Anyway, right, let's get into it then. First of all, Matt, right decision to abandon the game yesterday?
Yes, the ball wasn't bouncing, it wasn't rolling, true, and the state of the pitch was affecting the game. I mean, I don't know how true this is, because there was a bit of a discussion yesterday surrounding the drainage system at Ewood Park, and actually that they haven't got one. I know Hillsborough's knackered, but come on, even we have a drainage system. I know there's 42 miles of cables or whatever it is under the Hillsborough pitch.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think we were going to come on to talk about, it's the second game that they've had called off at Ewood Park, and I know the Northwest is renowned for, Greater Manchester area is renowned for its wet weather, but that was nonsensical yesterday. I
mean, I wasn't there yesterday, as I mentioned. Was the rain that bad? Because it didn't look like it was absolutely torrential. I think it was just like persistent rain for a long time. But going back to the earlier question, I think it was the right decision to call it off. And when I was listening to it, on the commentary they were saying I don't think it will get called off, but the ball was holding up. There wasn't. I mean, when we kicked off in the second half, there was spray coming off. I think Bannon pinged it forward, and spray shot up from as he hit it, which looked mightily impressive. I hope someone's got a photograph of that at that exact moment when he did that. And then that was kind of in the middle. On the edges, it wasn't too bad. There was a moment where Jan Valery, when the ball was going out of play, and it just stopped on the line, and then he ends up bringing the man down and stuff, which that certainly caught him out. So it was just a bit. It just gets a bit nonsensical, doesn't it? Really, that's the problem. It becomes a bit of a farce when they're playing the game. And I mean, I was saying, I was watching it with Steve, and I was saying that in that second half, we just needed to be playing balls over the top. It'll skip the first bounce, and then it'll just go boom, and it won't move. Yeah. So I was like saying, Cadamarchin just needs to be running onto those at every opportunity. A long ball. Don't bother playing a pass kind of 4 or 5 yards, because you're going to get yourself caught out and things. But yeah, I kind of, when he were bouncing the ball, I mean, I don't know what the protocol is, whether whether there is one. I don't know if there's actually it's got to bounce X amount of times, but it bounced once, didn't it? And then it just went, doom, stop. Stopped dead.
I think it's got to bounce natural, and there's got to be no standing water on the pitch that impedes the game in terms of, like if a ball runs true, so if you hit a ball and that ball would normally travel, if it travels slightly less in terms of 3 or 4 or 5 yards maybe, then that's a slight difference. But the point that you reference, where Jan Valery's seeing a ball out of play and it just stops, and then he's got to bring the man down, you're then starting to, I mean this nicely, you're then starting to play park football when you're doing that type of stuff. And it's just not indicative of a good game. And then you've also got to take into account player safety as well. Yeah. Because a slide tackle that is mistimed on a slightly, on a watered pitch can look bad. A slide tackle on that type of thing is just, it's just going to cause all sorts of problems.
Yeah,
it was the right call.
There was one, weren't they, on Pierce Charles, which the lad, I think he's still sliding now, to be fair. He just didn't stop, did he? He kept going. And there was, the ref was handing out yellow cards like they were party invites, to be honest. And I did say again, someone's going to get sent off in this game. Not from a straight red, probably from a second bookable offence, just a mistimed. There was going to be a lot of mistimed challenges, and you're right. Like someone was probably going to get themselves hurt at the end of the day. Yeah. I know it's quite amusing when it's it's one of those clips that you would probably like to see on the own goals and gaffes type video. Like 20 odd years ago that people used to watch, which YouTube has killed now, and it really. I used to love. Christmas was a perfect time. It's when it was almost like now it's the Michael Bublé album, but back then it was the Own Goals and Gaff Volume 26 or whatever it was. Yeah. Who was the guy that used to do them? Nick? Was it Nick someone? Nick? I want to say Nick.
It was Nick. Someone will know in the comments. Yeah.
They will do, yeah. But you always got a video like that or a DVD when it moved on to DVDs and stuff. But they're the types of videos that you used to see and clips from games like that. Nick Hancock, there you go, Steve. Yes, thank you very much. We can always rely on the comments to help us dig us out of the hole. You just have to pad for about 10 seconds and then someone will be there. And Adam's there. Liam says, made worse that they used the sprinklers. Did they? Surely not.
I think that's got to be, like some of the dumbest things that you see football clubs waste money on. Like that has got to be up there yesterday. Because again, I think somebody, I can't remember who's put it in the comments just slightly before. Somebody had mentioned that actually 10 minutes after the game was called off, or even when the players got sent off and then the referee came back on, and you could see loads of standing water. The funniest thing I thought yesterday was bringing out 5 blokes with cricket rollers. Like what is that going to do? Like, what we're going to do? Try and push it into the grass, and then it's just going to... Because water... Like, it just... when you like watching somebody and you're thinking...
Have you seen that meme of that guy, and he's in Venice or something, and he's like getting the bucket of water, and he's chucking it over the railing, but he's actually he's just in the water. Like, the water's not going anywhere. It's like... It just reminded me of that, to be fair. With a little pitchfork, putting 3 little spikes in the ground is going to get rid of all the water. Like, you should have done that earlier, son. Do you know what I mean?
That's what I mean. Do that when the players disappear after they've done the warm up. Do that at half time. All the rest. Get the rollers out at half time. Blah blah blah. Pausing a game with 30 odd minutes left or 20 odd minutes left of it, and trying to do that, and then convince people that 10 minutes later, when there's nobody actually running around, because remember, all of these players are effectively a pitchfork because they've got studs on their feet. Yeah. Like it was again. I know it will be frustrating for, in particular, Blackburn fans who were there and obviously seeing their side win at home for once. It was the right call at the end of the day. Somebody was going to get hurt, because we mentioned the tackle side of things. You can't keep your foot in on that type of a pitch either. And if you're going to try and turn sharply and somebody does their ACL, you've got a big issue.
Yeah, I mean, I know I said I went on the socials and stuff, but I had to bring this one up. Someone put it in the Discord. It's the Blackburn Rovers. Next, it says next up onto Oxford. Get your tickets for Tuesday night's home clash. The comments are absolutely immense. The first one, Oxford turning up for the game, and it's just a picture of the Oxford boat race for those that are listening. Another one, Blackburn claiming pitch is fine, and all Ipswich and Sheffield Wednesday's fault. It's just a picture of a guy underwater with his thumbs up in the air. Even if it doesn't rain, if the lads get a bit too sweaty, the pitch will flood. Can you make sure that the pitch hasn't turned into a swimming pool before kickoff? There is actually a photoshopped picture of said Olympic swimming pool actually on Ewood Park, which I thought was funny. Have a look. They're so. They are absolutely brilliant. Another one, Oxford team bus. It's just a dinghy that's going down the lake. It's like I said, I know social media can be shit, but it can also be brilliant as well.
Yeah, that's the good thing for social media, isn't it? That's the good side and the humorous side of social media, which is good.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask if there's been another game that's been called off, but I think someone in the Discord put it in. I think Wigan I want to say 20. When was that? 2011 or something like that. There was a game at home.
I couldn't remember, James. Like I genuinely, I was like, it's such a rarity that Sheffield Wednesday are involved in a game that's called off, and you're normally forced to sit and endure 90+ minutes of pure agony.
Yeah.
Like that, I was like, I cannot think of another game that has been called off. But if somebody's got Wigan in the comments, I'm sure it was.
I think it was. Yeah. I mean, the other thing as well. I mean, I think Alan Biggs mentioned this, that Hallam played on Friday, and that it was horrendous weather on Friday as well. Hallam, who are, they're not even in the National League North, South, they're in like step 7 or 8 or whatever it is. They are well down the pyramid. I mean, I know they have got some natural drainage because they conveniently play on a hill, which helps. But, their game was still wasn't called off. I don't think there was any other games, to my knowledge, that was called off in the Football League for poor weather. And it wasn't just localised on Blackburn. It was, someone said in the comments, Accrington played 120 minutes, and that's only up the road and things. So, yeah, I mean, there's certainly a problem in the down at Ewood Park. I think people have been saying it's the lowest part of Blackburn, and it's next to a river or something.
Well, I mean, sorry, James, I've brought up the wrong one there. This is from FPL Hayden, who I'm assuming is a Blackburn fan. Is evening, James and Matt. I can only apologise for the shambles yesterday. The fact that it's the third time in 12 months means we deserve some kind of punishment. Me personally, I don't think it's worth punishing the club. I do think that there is something that is.
They need some help, don't they? Really?
Yeah, absolutely. And he's gone on to put the problem is that we've got a pitch and the drainage infrastructure we have has not been touched for 36 years due to a lack of investment. You are not going to get, mate, any single Sheffield Wednesday fan, Slate fans, or a football club for a lack of investment in a football club, because boy, do we know how shit it is. So yeah, it is what it is. Like, and again, the plus point of this is, I know Blackburn's not next door, but it's also not fucking Plymouth or Exeter. Yeah. Or God knows where, at Gravesend or Wealdstone or wherever the fuck we're going to be playing next year.
The other thing as well, at least you've got kind of 60-odd minutes and we were losing. So, like, if we were winning, it'd be slightly different. I mean, perfectly
4-0 up and that gets called off.
Bollocks! Yeah, I'm being brutally honest with this one, and I know Blackburn fans would probably disagree, but being totally biased in this situation, we're 1-0 down. The game gets called off. We've got another go at potentially winning this game. Like that. That is the positive of it, and at least it didn't get called off without any football being played, which again is just shit for the fans. I know it's still shit because you didn't see the outcome of the whole game, but yeah.
Sorry, I've just highlighted this one because this was exactly, because obviously I'd said that I'd sold my ticket to Nick, who sits close by to me because I couldn't get to it. This is exactly how I would have felt. Went to the pub, played an hour, good day out. Perfect. Yeah. Absolutely perfect. Because that is pretty much what Sheffield Wednesday do weekly. They play for an hour and then everybody goes home.
Yeah. I think, who is it now? Someone said, can't get home from Blackburn. What, where's the nearest pub or something? And I was like, can't or won't.
Yeah.
Which one is it? He said, a bit of both, actually. Yeah,
absolutely.
I thought so. Yeah. Not sorry, love. There's no trains because of the weather.
That's great. That's great.
Sat with a pint, not of water. I'm sure it'll be something a little bit stronger than water that they had in the glass. But yeah, right. Let's get on to the match that never was, or that was that now isn't, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I don't think we'll critique it too much because, like I said, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. It's been chalked off, doesn't count. Although the yellow cards still count, Matt.
Of course they do. Of course they do.
That one game where he's handing them out like I said, like raffle tickets, and yeah, obviously. So I think Sean Fazier is at risk of picking up a suspension. I think we've got Watford on Tuesday, so if he picks one up there, then he'll not be available for Derby on Monday. The Monday 8 o'clock fixture that we've got, which really messes up with the podcast, doesn't it? Really, but anyway.
The EFL.
Since when did we get in the Premier League? Monday 8 o'clock. Monday 8 o'clock's Monday night football. Not leave that for the Premier League anyway.
EFL have when I say for somebody again, I know there are a lot of people who travel a lot further than me. The EFL are not making this. I mean, Des Fonchansiri. Oh, for fuck's sake!
Ah, he said it. He said.
Do you know what the worst bit is, James? I got halfway through it and realised what I was saying. I got halfway through it and I was like, "You daft prick! What are you doing?
Do you know what as well? I actually said it on the debate show as well. I forgot about that. I didn't realise at the time, obviously, because I'm just talking to myself, but someone mentioned it in the comments, and then I went to the event on Thursday with Henrik. He didn't tell me, but I knew I was sat with said, yeah, you did actually say it. She actually went back, skipped back to find out if I did or not. So I'm there with you. We'll do it after the show.
Fucking honestly, that's really pissed me off. That the previous, I can't. That's pissed me off so much. I can't even remember our point, James. Fuck it.
We'll just skip on. Anyway, let's get on to some positive things then. The big news heading into the game was whether Piers Charles was going to start or not. He played in the Sheffield Seniors Cup in the under-23s in midweek against Stocksbridge, which they came through on penalties. He came off for the penalties, so he didn't have to start jumping around and things. But yeah, Henrik was asked about Piers starting on the press conference, which was Thursday afternoon. All I can say, Henrik, if you are listening or watching, don't attempt to play poker anytime soon, because I said straight away Piers Charles is starting. He got asked the question and he kind of, I want to say straight battered it, but I think he edged it and he got caught in the slips, to be fair, because everyone knew, Matt, that he was going to be starting, didn't we, really?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everybody knew he was going to be starting. I was kind of questioning, when he was talking about it in the presser, I was kind of questioning, aside from the fact that he's a better goalkeeper than Ethan Horvath, I'm not entirely sure what we're planning to do with this player now. Like, I'm really not, because I've spoken about this on the pod before. I've made my stance very clear, James. I don't think he'll be here next year. And I think it's the wrong thing for his career, number one, and I think it sends the wrong message as a football club if we try to keep him. Because I think that his level is at minimum championship, and I think he should be playing for a top-end championship club next year and challenging for the league. I think he will be snapped up by a Premier League team either in January or the summer. I'm struggling to think after the recent points deduction. I'm not quite sure what our goals are for this season based off how the first what we're now coming up to, we're coming up to halfway through the season.
Yeah,
I'm struggling to think really what our goals are for this season. Are they just to get back to positive points? What is it? I'm struggling to see what we're doing here with now what is really an asset, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think, for me, he has to play. If we are looking to move him on, or if that's his intention, I think he's got to play at least some games just to actually prove that he's fit enough. Really, because if he doesn't play, you're thinking, oh, wait a minute, he hasn't played any football since game week 2 against Stoke. Is he fit enough? Is he not? And that sort of thing. So I think he has actually got to do something. And I think I get what you're saying. He's not our player. But you never know what happens. Do you know what I mean? I do agree with you. The Northern Ireland full international goalkeeper shouldn't be playing the third tier of English football. He would easily get a gig in the Championship, as you've rightly said. Yeah. And I think his agent would be daft not to be at least putting his name out there to actually do that. And I think other people have said. We need to keep him. He's a great player. I totally agree on that. And if it was just my decision, which it isn't, obviously, then yeah, but keep him.
To be completely blunt as well, James. I think we're all very grateful it's not mine and your decision.
to be fair, but yeah, I think it'll be his decision, and it's not Wednesday through and through. It's not his boyhood club. He came from Man City's youth academy, so I know he'll keep us in his heart and stuff like that, and he'll remember us for all his life. But end of the day, you've got to look at your career, and it's not his fault that we're going to be playing down there. And then if that means that he didn't, you never know who's waiting in the wings in the Northern. I'm not abreast Northern Ireland football, so I don't know who the next goalkeeper is going to be to kind of take his spot. And if that happens, and then he misses out, then he'll be absolutely kicking himself for not moving. So yeah, I think. On the other side of things, when you say what's our plan with him, well, Ethan Horvath, one, he's not very good, and two, he's not our player. So I think, and then you're looking at the other youngsters, and they're probably not quite cut out for it yet. So I think, next season we'll probably be looking at bringing in one, maybe two goalkeepers or something like that. But for the time being, I'm just happy that Piers Charles is playing. You saw straight away how much better he was, to be fair, Matt.
Yeah, no, I agree, James. And I am of the opinion that whilst he is a Sheffield Wednesday player, from a fan perspective, I want to see him playing. I want to see him starting games for us. I want to see him being consistently the number one, because he should be. But I am also thinking about the way in which that the football club has been run over the last, 11 years? And I just think he's got, I think somebody has put it into the comments of, he's got 18 months left to run on his current deal.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it from, I don't want to be horrible here, I'm looking at it from a solely business perspective here. We've got less than a month until the January window opens. He has a month of football. We go back in the summer if the reported interest from, let's say, West Ham was rumoured and is still there. The price tag has now gone up from what it was because we're no longer in the horrendously terrible financial peril that we were, and it's no longer a fire sale.
Who was the owner again, Matt?
We're not going for there. I've already made the donation, James. That's really pissed me off. Not that I've donated to Shay, but more the fact that I've let that run for 3 weeks. But it's the fact that we're no longer in that situation anymore, so we should be able to receive his market value for him. And my personal belief is, as a football club, we should be going back out with that player and doing right by the player, because, again, totally unconfirmed reports, but there were some grumblings, and we did see an Instagram story from Piers Charles with the Samfer "it'll all work out" theme laid over the top of. I have a sneaking suspicion that there will have been some level of assurances made to the player in the summer.
Yeah.
And actually, I think we send the wrong message to young players that with 18 months left on his deal, if I was in Piers Charles' position, I wouldn't be signing a new deal for love nor money. And actually, we should be saying, okay, I tell you what, can we keep him for the rest of this season, but we'll sell him to you? And the EFL will ratify that deal now with the lack of embargoes on the club.
Yeah, I think also as well, this is what should be happening at the football club.
Agreed.
We should be bringing players through. They should be playing for 6, 12, 18 months in the first team, doing a really good job, and then other clubs come in that are just in the Premier League and take them away. That is kind of what we've been asking for, really. The problem is we don't have, at this moment in time, we don't have the next young goalkeeper waiting in the wings to take his spot. We don't have the next Ernie Weaver, another centre-back. Like you have to have them ready and waiting, so that when it's just like a conveyor belt and they move on, or even selling the players that can't even get in the first team, because that happens at other clubs as well. You look and you think, well, he's only played 10 games for Bolton or whoever it may be, but another club higher up takes them off their hands and stuff. So yeah, it's just unfortunate, because I do think he's a really good goalkeeper. Having said that, we have had a lot of good goalkeepers at Sheffield Wednesday. I find it difficult to rank him where he would fix. He's not played that much football for us, has he, really? And he's played in, let's be honest, a shit side. But it would be disappointing if we can't see him, playing at the best of his ability for Sheffield Wednesday. But look, we'll move on if indeed that even happens. Look, it's not happened yet. We've still got a bit of time with Pierce in between the sticks.
Yeah, no, and I really truly hope so. But I am just looking at it from the perspective of the season is so far gone now. I don't quite know. Aside from selling him in January and having him loaned back to us for the end of the season, just simply to give us a goalkeeper until the end of the season, my personal belief is I just don't see what the value is in what we're doing by just holding on to him, if that makes sense. Because you are going to get more money for him in a January market than you would do, for argument's sake, in the summer. Maybe
it's just for our morale as a fan, because
possibly.
I've already spoken about that bubble being burst, and if we continue, it's stayed at 12 games without a win. It was on course for being 13 as the game was abandoned yesterday. So yeah, let's see how that one works for us. Steve said he's in the shop window. He'll be off in January or the summer. Daniel, how many games they've got left until the end of January, puts them in the shop window, then might get best price possible. John says new owners, Mike Kibosh, any sale of the best players. Yeah, you're right, John, but the only problem with that is it's still the player now in 2025 in football in this day and age. The player has a lot of say as to what they do or they don't do. He won't just go, well, I'm just going to run my contract down then, and then he doesn't sign a new deal, and then he leaves for nothing, which is what
we've been doing, and it doesn't work.
Exactly. A few people have pointed out that Bailey Peacock-Farrell is the next Northern Ireland goalkeeper, and he's in League One for Blackpool, and Piers Charles is in the Championship, and he's playing. So,
who nicest will in the world once upon a time was Piers Charles.
Yeah,
was
exactly.
An up-and-coming, very talented goalkeeper who had two big high-profile moves. No matter what you think of Leeds and Burnley, they were two big high-profile moves. Without him making them, you would argue that actually he probably pales into a little bit of insignificance, and I would argue that Piers Charles, in the limited time that we've seen of him, is quite a significant bit better than Bailey Peacock-Farrell.
Go on, here's a question for you then. George says, if he ran his contract down but we came back up, is it worth it?
No, because then what message are you sending out to young players to sign for the football club? You're effectively saying to young players, yes, sign here and we'll just keep you until the end of your deal runs out. Nobody wins in that respect. Yes, the club goes down and then comes back up, but also my counter-argument to people who've been making the debate about keeping Piers Charles, and I'm aware that there will be a lot of people who disagree with me on this, my counter-argument to it is, we've seen what League One looks like from set pieces. Like, Piers Charles is not the size, the experience, the type of goalkeeper that you need at that level. He's just not. And that's not a criticism against Piers Charles' height or anything like that in any way, shape or form. To go down into League One, I'll refer back to Birmingham City. Birmingham City went out and signed Ryan Alsop. Ryan Alsop is a perennial League One bottom-end Championship goalkeeper. They've transitioned out of him now into James Beadle. Like, they've figured it out. Like, they've got an experienced head in there who knows when to go down, knows when to fake an injury, knows when to take time off the clock, knows when to punch, knows when to go long, all of the rest of it, which a young lad learning his way in football, which is exactly what Piers Charles is doing, because remember, he is still a child, and it's only this season that he has become a starter, and he only started up until, the game before Wrexham?
Yeah.
He's not an experienced keeper. His market value is going to be highest in January. You are doing the right thing by both the club and the player by selling him, is my personal opinion.
Yeah, he's a little bit older now. He's 20. He turned 20 in July, but still, he's still young from a goalkeeper's perspective. I think I just want to stress as well, I would love to keep Piers Charles as long as I possibly can. It's not for not wanting him. I think it's probably just the best for the club moving forward and moving into a new era of kind of moving players on, bringing them in, playing them, moving them on, selling them for a profit, and rinse and repeat. And that's we can't just keep holding on to play. We can't keep saying that this is what we want and this is the model of a football club that we want moving forward. If we then get really annoyed,
but not him.
yeah, but not that good one. You can have you can have insert any other player in here. You can have that one, but you can't have this one. This really good one. But wait a minute, that's the one that they want because wait a minute, they are really good. Like that's how it works. You're gonna lose your best players, especially when we drop down into League One. Ernie Weaver will get a chance next season, and he'll be playing
100%.
Quite well. He might also be playing 6 months of football, and we could be having this exact same conversation about him in the January transfer window again.
He is a different prospect, the same as George Brown, the same as those breakthrough players who were in and around Sean Fussier is another one.
International, going to AFCON. You never know, could absolutely light it up there.
100%. These are a different proposition because of where they are at in their career trajectory and the interest around those players at this present time. Because I make no bones about this. If Ernie Weaver was playing all season this season, people would be coming in and testing the waters on him in the summer. And if he is, if he was a player, and if I was a young player, we've seen it with Liam Shaw, we've seen it with Asazi Urhoghide. Whether it works out for them or not, players want to go. They want to test themselves at a better level. And that's not a criticism of those players. Because do you remember when Liam Shaw left, he just broke into the first team and he got battered from pillar to post for making the move.
Yep.
He got absolutely slated. It's the right thing to do. Like, the problem was we as a football club didn't get any money for him because we were run appallingly. The same for Asazi Urhoghide. You can sign a pre-contract agreement with somebody else, so that's what they fucking did.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you could argue, well, stay and smash it in League One, and then back yourself, and then you'll get better offers. Yeah, that's great. But what about if that doesn't happen? Like when you've got something or someone willing to pay for you today and treble your wages or quadruple your wages or whatever it may be, you would honestly be daft to just walk away from it. When football is it can be such a short career. How many players have you seen that they get an injury, career-ending injury at the age of 25 or something, or it just doesn't work for them and they just drop down. Like, mate, it's difficult, isn't it? Because we say this as a non-footballer. Do you know what I mean? We're saying it as a fan of that football club. Please stay for us. You'll be great in League One. Like, we're not actually them. And I think also, as well, as a Sheffield Wednesday fan, we have been a little bit spoilt with the loyalty that both Liam Palmer and especially Barry Bannon has given to the football
Josh
club.
Windass before him. Like there are plenty of players who have stuck around, and I'd argue Baz and Palms aside, it didn't do anything for them. Like it has not actively forwarded or progressed their careers. But
Baz has never played in the Premier League since he's come out of it.
No.
Since he left Villa, I want to say he's not played another Premier League game since.
Palace. Palace. He was.
He
was at Palace. But the other one, the prime example here is when we got relegated in the COVID season, when Brentford came in for him, and Brentford were about to get promoted the following season. Should have gone. If you're looking at it from a career perspective, it's really rare. But Baz was also at a point in his career where he was club captain, his family were settled. He had built a life here and he felt like he owed some loyalty to the football club. I go back to the example of the lad who scored for Sunderland in the playoff final. Can't remember who they beat. Sorry, mate, I had to say. He had just broke into the first team and he sold for 19 million. He's barely played for Brighton this year. But guess what? It was the right thing to do by both the player and the football club. Like, it is I know people don't. It's a new way of doing things, modern football, and it's not nice because you do often lose your best young players early. But actually, it is the right thing to do for everybody, is my personal opinion.
Yeah, Mr. J says Charles to Rangers. Yep, I can 100% see that one happening, certainly with who their manager is. Barry said Texter might bring in players from his team, if he's the one that becomes the new owner, maybe. And Big Rev says, sure, went a season too soon. It's not really worked out for him, has it, really? Went to Celtic, played once, Motherwell, Morecambe, Wigan on loan, Fleetwood played 11 times, Northampton played 8 times. Say for argument's sake, had we kept on to, and that career trajectory there is a prime example. Had we held on to Liam Shaw and his performances dropped off, that move's never coming for him. And then we as a football club are going, you need to fucking get rid of him. He's shit. He only had 6 good months. Everybody's got to make... You make hay while the sun shines, don't you? Like, Pierce Charles is currently very, very hot property for a young goalkeeper at this level. The right thing to do for everybody is sell it. And if it's right, he'll be back at some point. Yeah, agreed. Let's actually get onto the football then that happened.
Yeah, let's try.
I feel like 40 odd minutes talking about a game that never even happened or did happen for a bit. And we were saying, what did you say to me? 20 minutes, we'll be done.
20 minutes, get some rain coming down, job done.
Anyway, this first half that was played, obviously, again, at this point, we don't know that the game's going to get abandoned. He wasn't great. I think he's a bit of an understatement. I would probably go as far as saying it's one of the worst first halves of football that I've seen for a long time, and I think we were lucky to only go a goal down, really, although they didn't really create much, but certainly from the balance of play in terms of how we were playing, we certainly were there. I thought we were there for the taking a little bit. I mentioned I went to the event that Henrik did, an evening with Henrik Pedersen that the Sheffield Wednesday community programme put on, which I think was absolutely fantastic. And he was talking there about kind of, he listed all the games where they've been good for one half, and it's more about being good for both halves, and how Preston was kind of like...
That must have been a long list.
Yeah, it was quite a list. He basically just read out the fixtures for this season so far. But yeah, he said how Preston was a lot better. He was also talking about kind of when the performances drop off, rather than he was using it in number terms, and rather than it being like going down to -3, 4, 5, 6, 7, before then the performance starts to pick up again. That, you know, he appreciates that performances will drop off when they're tired and things, but it needs to be the gap between your best and your worst needs to be a lot smaller. It doesn't need to be a huge drop off for each individual player. Look, I don't know whether he just didn't tell the players that and just told us on Thursday, because it was. I know these other factors, the weather, but he was talking about this game being a game that we're going to target, and it's a game that you think you could get something from. They're not great. I think they were 17th or 18th in the league going into this fixture, but we just didn't create anything. We didn't look like scoring in a month of Sundays. It just wasn't. I think we'll come on to tactics in a bit. I just think he got it all totally wrong. I think we were in the wrong mindset from the off, really.
Yeah, I mean, Blackburn are terrible at home this season, like really terrible for a normally ran football club to a point. They've not got the issues that we've got. They have got issues, but nowhere near the level that we have. It was an opportunity post a quote-unquote free week to attack a game in the same manner as we did last Saturday. You know, like we scored early on last week. You know, we scored 2 goals early on, but we were attacking, we were progressive, we were front-footed. It's just really disappointing, James, that inconsistency. And that is, I think, by the end of this season, that is what will drive me properly mad, is the inconsistency from week to week. And, you know, you were mentioning there and alluded to kind of Henrik's comments on Thursday of we can't string 2 halves of football together. And you made a point on the additional content that we put out on Patreon, patreon.com/WTRDpod, where we're talking about saying he was a great man, he was really nice, he was really into the psychology of things. And then you finished it off by saying, I'm not sure he's a manager. Because I was amazed to hear how he is absolute in awe of Jose Mourinho, and like he tries to style like the relationships with players on that. I would argue that Henrik Pedersen is about as far away from Jose Mourinho as you could possibly get. Because looking at that performance yesterday, if this is a game that has been targeted, if we're just using the manager of our football club's own comparison of a manager who he aspires to be like and looks up to, if that were Jose Mourinho in the dugout, he would have done anything to win that game, because that is the good thing about that particular manager. And this is where I suppose I switch off and I think, you know, we talked about whether Henrik's the right man for the job or not. And me and you spoke, I know, privately about this, and think actually he's probably more suited to a director of football role rather than actually perhaps the manager of a football club. Because I know, were it Mourinho in the dugout yesterday, he would have recognised 5 minutes in, fuck, this ball on the floor shit isn't working. Go long, get nasty, get horrible. Because that was what those, you know, like you were referring back to all of those Chelsea comparisons that he was making on Thursday evening. We are such a nice side, and that was not a game yesterday to be a nice side. As you said, that was a game to do all of the Steve Bracknellisms, get it forward, like all of that type of shite. And we were just, there was nothing to it in the first half.
Yeah, for me, just touch on that Henrik point as well. Yeah, I having listened to him for a good, I think an hour and a half, I think it was, maybe even longer. Like, he is very interesting as well, the things that he's talking about, certainly his past life as well, where he's been, certainly all his stuff at Red Bull. And that's why I came to that conclusion that, we were talking, weren't we, about the fact that we haven't got a style of play, or we haven't got what's the word I'm looking for, like an identity or anything. Yeah. For me, he needs to be the person setting that identity for the football club, not the person trying to adhere to whatever that identity is or trying to create it from the dugout. I think he has got a wealth of experience in kind of talent identification and things, and how, you know, I know quite a lot of people spoke about his tactics and things, and he took most of the attacking, coaching, like, either him being a director of football or him being a coach or assistant manager or whatever it may be. I think I see him as that. I might be talking well out of turn, but as always on this podcast, I would just say what we think with what we see. It's my opinion. I think that I don't think he can make a real tough decision. And again, I might be talking out of turn by saying I don't think there's been many tough decisions to make this season since he's been at the club. the team has pretty much picked itself. You know, Piers Charles coming in this weekend, he is infinitely better than the previous goalkeeper we've got. I mean, a blind man would be able to tell you that Piers Charles should start every single game that he is fit. All the others, it's literally been just rotating a few players around in the forward positions that we've got. Everyone else, it's just an injury or a suspension, and it's just had to bring someone else in. He's not had to drop anyone for playing shit, basically. But I think. So it's probably unfair for me to comment on that because I don't think he's made those decisions. I don't think he can. But also, I think when you look at, he's that kind of good cop, bad cop. He's certainly good cop, where manager drops someone and he's that person to kind of pick them up and be like, I'm going to get you back in that first team. Do you know what I mean? Like trying to knuckle down in training, doing all that stuff to. He's just been, being given some shit information that he's not going to be playing, but actually he's going to work with them to actually motivate them and make sure that they are playing at the best of their ability to get back into that first team and get back into contention. I see him as fantastic at doing that job personally.
He's good. He's good cop. And the reason why I think for certain fans, especially in his leaving of the football club, that Danny Rill was so polarising was because he called players out and he wasn't scared to. And he wasn't scared to call the previous owner out, and he wasn't scared to call the fans out. And people don't like that. People like... Everybody can sit there and say, I really like somebody who's straight talking until straight talking hits them in the face and it's aimed at them. And then they go, oh, shit, I don't like this. I look at Henrik Pedersen and, you mentioned on Thursday that he'd spoke about the dressing down that he gave the squad after the derby. Now, I wasn't in the dressing room and I've got no right to know what was said to those players. The fact of the matter is, after that, we've lost 3 games. I know this one got called off, but we've lost 3 games and we've performed for 60 minutes. We had a very backs-to-the-wall defensive display at Millwall, but ultimately still lost the game. We had a 2-1 lead at half-time against, top 6 Preston, and threw that away and lost 3-2 in a game that the opposition were not in for 70 minutes of the game. And we went to Blackburn away, where our away record is better than their home form, and we were never in the game. Yeah. And I just look at it, and I think there was a reaction though. I think the performances at Millwall and Preston were infinitely better than that was against Sheffield United. Oh, agreed.
So there was a reaction, but you are right. Like in black and white terms, we still lost both games. Like.
And that's my point, James. Is when I come back to, which is why I was so surprised to hear the admiration that he poured onto Jose Mourinho on Thursday, was because I was just like, if you'd have told me Pep was his like bastion shining like guardian angel, I'd have gone, I can fucking 100% see that, like 1000% I can, or Klopp or somebody like that. I was like 100% I can see that. The thing is with Guardiola, Klopp, Guardiola, Klopp and Mourinho, is that publicly they will come out and criticise players. Publicly they will come out and criticise fans. Publicly they will come out and criticise the club as a whole. But what they will do in private is ensure that players on that football pitch absolutely die for this manager. Now, it's very clear that he has built those relationships if unconfirmed reports of stuff that was said in pre-season are to be believed. The problem is that is not translating on the pitch. It's just not. Yeah. Like, we can make all the excuses we want for this season, and there are thousands of them, but it has not been good enough consistently this season from this playing squad.
Yeah, I was just about to say as well, though, like all this does fall down by the fact that I think someone mentioned it earlier on. I'm trying to. Here you go. John says, I suppose it's trying to tile a wall with a hammer and a mango. I've never heard that expression before, John, but it's a perfect one. Like I do agree. It's really difficult in it, and I think the harsh thing is as well. Yes, he is a great coach, but this happens so many times that you go from. I know he's not been here for indefinitely. He hasn't been here that long at the football club. But you have someone that's so good, and then they step into that managerial role, and then what happens? They get sacked, and then they leave the club, and then they go. And you've like, I know our situation was difficult because we didn't have a manager, we're forever grateful for him stepping up and taking up that mantle when we felt like there was going to be literally no one managing the football club, and he's done that. But then I feel like we could also lose him as a as a coach. I mean, the only saving grace is that new owners are coming in. Maybe they see it slightly different to what to what the previous owner would have. You know, you're shit, you're going, see you later, ta-ra.
Yeah.
Like, but whereas they might be like, actually, you are a really good coach. But look, literally, we're just sticking his finger up in the air and guessing, aren't we, really? Because we have no idea what's going to happen when the new owners do come in.
Of course, James. And don't get me wrong, I do not want to lose a character like Henrik Pedersen from this football club. I would love to keep him, but you're trying to convince a manager to step down to become an assistant. That's never going to fucking happen. Not in a month of Sundays. That's never happening. You're going to convince him to go what and be the head of the academy? That's going to be a hard sell. Which is why, genuinely, I do believe if you kept him in the football culture, whether it's a director of football or whether you bake him into like an assistant director of football operations role or something like that, I am convinced that is where his skill set lies in terms of character. Because I know he spoke about this in public as well, not just on Thursday. He spoke about having the right characters in the dressing room and the right personalities. Now, I don't think that there's many people who I would rather, aside from maybe Darren Moore, I would rather have picking people from a character perspective to represent this football club on the pitch. What I do also know, however, is that I would very much like a manager who is unafraid, who isn't afraid to call people out, who isn't afraid to just, like, say for argument's sake, to come out after games. No, we all know the situation, but actually to say, like last Saturday when we've thrown the game away, because we have thrown the game away. We've missed a penalty, they've gone straight up the other end, inability to defend, and they've scored. Just to go, we can't do that. Like, irrespective of the situation, you can't do that. Like, we're just unable to do
he
that.
should know. He's seen them week in, week out, or day in, day out in training. He should know their skill set and whether they're able to do it or not. And if they're not, fair enough. But I would argue that starting 11 should, as much as we give them all the excuses under the sun. Adam's just said here that squad has underperformed, all things considered. Yeah, I think it's difficult in it because I suppose they have got the previous regime to fall back on as an excuse, but unfortunately, that when you are playing for your career, some of these players are out of contract at the end of the season. Other clubs will be looking at them, and what do? You look at your previous 12 months or your previous season. How have you performed? And you can cut through it all. Yeah, you've lost every game, but you can cut through it and go, actually, there's good points there, there's bad points. Because like right now, if anyone asked about Ernie Weaver, fantastic player, great player. Piers Charles, brilliant. There's other players that you go, he's all right. Like, he's not really set the world alight. Like, and you don't want to be that player that people refer to as just all right. You want to be someone that's that's looked up to and things. Jamal Lowe, for example. If someone said to me, we're looking at buying Jamal Lowe, first of all, I would say, if I were a bit of a prick, I'd be like, yep, buy him. You can have him. But if you're being honest, you'd be like, I don't know. I'm excited when he came, but he's kind of flattered to deceive, to be honest. But
agreed.
Yeah,
it would be the same for last month's Player of the Month in Svante Ingolson for me. Like, fully functional player. Don't quite know. I couldn't tell you based off the.
He'll be good in League One next season. I'm telling you now.
I hope so.
I think he will. I think he's that mould of player that you want. When we talk about League One being a different proposition to Championship football, he is that. He has the qualities of just digging in when it's difficult and a lot of running that I think can get you out a lot of shit in League One.
No, I don't disagree with that. But it's like I look at, say for argument's sake, I don't know, player who we've previously released in George Byers. George Byers is the type of when I go back to that point that Henrik was making on Thursday. George Byers is the exact type of character that we should have at the football club, but he also has the ability to play for it. And you also know when George Byers was playing poorly, you could see it because he would do things to make an effect on and an impact on the game. I'm not digging the squad out here by any stretch of the imagination, but this is a really rare opportunity that football clubs have ever in their history to have a proper hard reset and a look at what's going on. like bare bones and all with everything, I could tell you that Max Lowe deserves to stay at this level. Jan Valery probably deserves to stay at this level. Baz, obviously, but obviously his age probably is going to dictate that, he's maybe got 2 seasons. Could he do another season in the Championship? Yes, but he shouldn't be starting for a competitive side who are near the top end of the division. Pierce Charles could play at this level. I think given time, I probably haven't seen enough of Ernie Weaver, but I think there's enough there to suggest that he could. George Brown, I think, is a League One forward. After that, I'm kind of looking at it and going, I don't really know who else actually within this squad is good enough at this level. And yeah, you're right in saying, what have you done to impact anything in the last, 6-7 months to actually make a, we've had one positive result, like from a points position. We've had one win all season, and yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. Let's just touch on some of the tactics that was employed yesterday. But I know I keep saying Barry Bannon play further forward, but there's a point where he has to stop, and that's like the number 10 role. I don't really want him being the furthest man forward and actually being the partner in Bailey Cadamartri up front. I just thought that was a bit bizarre playing him that. I want him behind the strikers to make that cutting pass that just splits the defence in two, and or that cross to the back post or whatever it is, by being in that position there. I don't want him kind of receiving the ball back to goal or just being the furthest man forward. I just found it a bit bizarre. I don't know if he was supposed to play there, but he certainly set up to be playing like in a like I said, alongside Bailey Cadamartri.
It didn't work yesterday.
This is Deshaun Bernard playing in the 6, isn't it? Really, this is again put that in that box.
But again, I go back to this stuff about like the managerial thing here. Baz needs to be playing further forward. Okay, cool. That is Charlie McNeil's role. In this current squad, with the players that we have available to us, that level of running, pressing, all the rest of it, we saw it in the first half last week. That is Charlie McNeil's role. Play him there. Stop fucking about with putting him on the wings and getting him to rotate here and do this. Make it much more simple for these young lads. Ernie Weaver's a prime example. Ernie Weaver was put into that back line against Portsmouth, and if you actually go back and watch the performance, what were his best bits? It wasn't his ball-playing ability and his ability to pick a pass. It was get in front of it, edit, and get rid of it.
Throwing himself in front of the ball, basically,
100%, really simple. George Brown's performance that day, Run yourself into the ground, win your headers, make sure their centre-half don't get a minute's peace, and if you get an opportunity, have a go. Charlie McNeil, first 20 minutes last week, you get an opportunity, get a shot off, because he did. Yesterday, again, you will not find, I don't think you will find many bigger Barry Bannon supporters than any Sheffield Wednesday fan, but I'd certainly put myself up there. He's not a forward by any stretch of the imagination.
I just thought it was just really bizarre. SB 1901 says Jamal Lowe playing deeper than Baz was baffling. Yeah, I just don't know what we were trying to achieve. I know he was better against Preston when he played further forward. For me, I keep saying playing further forward. What I actually want him not dropping into the back three to pick the ball up. That's what I actually want. I don't want to see him playing that quarterback role, pinging a 50-yard diag to someone, to whoever it is on the wing. I just want him just to be in midfield, and midfield to that number 10, like that, operating in that space. That's where I want him. And I thought the way that we played against Preston, I just don't know why we didn't set up in exactly the same way. Like we seem to just it was kind of swapping Bannon with Jamal Lowe really, and playing him. Yep. It just didn't really work. Like I'm glad that the game got abandoned because this didn't happen. Like, you know what I mean, as far as the fixtures and the results are concerned, it didn't happen. And he can just it's like it's just a free hit. Yep. Well, after the event, and we can go right. Actually, didn't work that. We'll perhaps try something different, and I hope we do on Tuesday against Watford. And just like I said, there's a sweet spot for Barry Bannon, and it isn't alongside Bailey Cadamartri. I think you're right. Charlie McNeil playing there. Both of them should have bags of running in them. And you see, I think Bailey Cadamartri very intelligent when he's closing people down. But we are going to be talking a lot more about Bailey Cadamartri, by the way, over on Extra Time. So if you want to listen to that, patreon.com/WTID pod. Also, we're going to be doing don't laugh. A weather 11, which I think was quite apt, given what's happened. Matt, you're laughing. I've got some absolute belters for you, which I'm sure you'll be delighted to hear. As have some of the Patreon members have got involved as well. So, but no, more serious matters. I think he's intelligent when he kind of arcs his run to kind of force players to play a certain way when he's closing down. And I think as much maybe that's why he was playing Bannon up there, because that's one thing he does. He runs a lot, doesn't he? Maybe he was trying to play him for a high press. I don't know.
I don't understand it. I won't understand it. And it's, again, there was the last time we were relegated to League One, there was a criticism on Baz, and it's been levelled at him so far, in particular at the Steel City derby, about he was trying to cover other people's job. I can't see a 36-year-old Bannon being played to play forward, and you know that you just leave him to just carry on with what he's doing. I don't know, and I'm, again, right at the top of this pod you asked, were you grateful for the game being called off? Yes. Yes, because yesterday was just not it. It was just not the right thing to do.
Elton says, the way this body's going, in a nutshell, Pedersen hasn't got a clue. I just think he got everything wrong yesterday, and I'm we'll call a spade a spade. I think you can hide somewhat behind, like we've mentioned a few times already, the previous and the past and things. But at the end of the day, it's 11 men against 11 men in a game of football, and the tactics were totally wrong. And he has got an opportunity to right it. It's an opportunity to change things again. And I think he's, let's be honest as well. If you're playing Football Manager, I think I would have tinkered with the tactics every single game. I'd have been playing 100%. Every formation under the sun to try and find the one formula to get your team winning football games when you've won, checks notes, one game of football all season. He's clearly not found the perfect formula for getting the best out of them. I would argue Preston was probably the best game that I've watched this season from a Wednesday perspective, other than the Portsmouth game. But you could argue that the football was actually better than it was against Portsmouth. I think that.
Oh my God!
We only had 30% of the ball against Portsmouth. So you think, just personally, just do that again. Like that's all. If he'd have named the same side, bar the keeper, and tried to play the same way, fair enough.
Agreed.
But I don't think he did. He changed it, and it just didn't work. But
the recipe for how to get results this season is there in that Portsmouth performance. It is get 9 men in your box, leave one player up the pitch, and if it is not on to play short, boot it into channels and run after it. You have got 2 lads. I know we played George Brown and Bailey.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah.
I know we played them, but you're telling me Charlie McNeil won't run? Of course he will. Run.
He won't. The thing is, George Brown does hold the ball up, and we haven't got that player. If we had Michael Smith still here, I think he would have been able to do that job perfectly. We haven't got him, and I know it's mad, a young lad holding the ball up and stuff. But he does. I said that after the Leeds game in the cup. I thought he did great. He didn't get much joy, but he did actually hold the ball up, and he was trying, at his back to goal and things. And we just haven't got a player that can do that. It's almost like the way that we want to play football, we just don't have. We're like missing pieces in the jigsaw. And whichever way you say, right, we'll play this way. Oh, but we haven't got a winger that can take a man on. Shit. But
that's my point, James, and that's the point I think that you're making. I agree with you 100%. We haven't got the players to play this style of football. We don't have them. We do have, the Millwall game. We weren't good in the Millwall game, yet should have drawn it. How many times over the past couple of seasons have we seen sides just come in and sit, and they get 2 chances, and because they've had so few, the opposition will go missing at the back because they're not concentrating. We get the ball up to the edge of the area beautifully, it all looks and then we run out of ideas, and by that point everybody's set. The Leeds game in the Cup, prime example. We had one shot, quote unquote, from Jamal Lowe, and it's chucked in the back of the net. It is what it is. Everything this season has got a bigger asterisk next to it.
Dylan said we can't hear James. Can you hear me? Is it loud and clear? No,
yeah, I can.
Don't know. Dylan, no idea, mate. Let's talk about we'll move away from the game that wasn't a game and whatever else, abandoned one. Let's talk about Kris Wigfield, the administration team, and the news that we all knew anyway, that the date that was given, which was the 5th of December for a preferred bidder to be chosen, may well have been announced if they wanted to. That date came, and I'll give them the dues. It didn't go. It was still the 5th of December when they put that announcement out that it's going to be prolonged because they've still not found a preferred bidder. And if you kind of believe some of the rumours that are flying around, we are still showing other people around. I think to be fair, it wasn't Kris Wigfield, it was the other one last week did actually say that there's other people that want to see the coming around and have a look around the club and things like that. Still people that are interested. There's two ways that we can take this as always, Matt. There's the positive element and there's the negative element. I'll not kind of ask you which stance you're taking, but it might be revealed when you start talking about it in the way that we do. But let's just start at the positive slant on it all. Is that the administrators are taking the time. We're cutting out the wheat from the chaff, if that's the correct saying. And it's a positive that they're not rushing into it, and there are still people that are interested in the football club. Again, if we're to believe what's been said to us, where people are still looking around the club, people still are coming and wanting to buy Sheffield Wednesday. I suppose if you're looking from a positive element, that does have to be positive. That it's not, we're not just saying, please come and buy us. We've got no one trying to buy us. Apparently there is a plethora of people that are queuing up at the door. Whether they've got enough money or whether they've put down enough money is probably another story. But the positive is that there are still people there.
Yeah, agreed, 100%. I think the giving of a potential date, whilst really, genuinely very, very well-meaning and well-intended, I think sets an expectation, which the moment that you are unable to meet it for whatever reason, if it's even if it is a positive reason, leaves people spiraling and asking questions, just like me and you are now. Just like people have been doing over the course of the last week, just like people were doing since the original announcement of having to push that deadline back has been made. Now, what I would argue is that the previous ownership was so bad that the administration could push this back all the way until February, and we would all still sit there going, do you know what? Yeah, fine. No problems. You could probably push it back to next February and we'd start be going, oh, well, time's time now. Surely there's got to be one coming round. But it does put an expectation on it. It does put a time clock on it. It does leave certain question marks as to why, I suppose. I would expect bidding parties now to be in the latter stages, which I'm sure certain parties are. And there is clearly interest in us, which is very good. My question, I suppose, would be to the point of we're still showing interested parties around and we want more people to come and have a look at it, which is great. The difficulty is how long does that go on for? Because there will always be people interested at this price, no matter how much work needs doing. As multiple people have said, I take Kieran Maguire's word as gospel on this, because Kieran Maguire, you are not going to find somebody who is more invested in football finance than Kieran. He makes the argument that Sheffield Wednesday is the last big, quote-unquote, capital M, capital A, massive club that you can get on the market at a cut price. Regardless of how much you invest in it, the potential for growth, this is the last one. This is the last cab off the rank. You're always going to get people who are interested at the price that it is then currently. And I'm sure they will have set an internal deadline. But how long are we going to let this run for? And again, if we were to come out and talk about something completely different, like as in, do you know what? We're actually going to move it. We're going to move it a little bit back. We're going to do it post-January. I know this is very different. That resets expectations again. Resets them. But at the minute, we're in this kind of limbo and paralysis. Does that make sense? Well, is it this week? Is it this week? Is it this week? Because until that time comes, that rumour mill of people looking around the football club is always going to churn. And if I was a bidder, I'd be thinking, well, hang on. No, I'm going to put some pressure on here. My bid expires. by
exactly. I mean,
whatever.
Yeah, and I suppose to play devil's advocate in this whole situation, you could argue, right, what you're saying. How many times have you seen that play out on eBay or wherever? You put a bid in, and then you say, I've got 20 people watching it. I'm going to leave it, and then they come back to you and go, do you want it for that £8 that you bought? No, I've bought something else instead. Right, shit. And then you sat like with not being sold because you think you're going to get more money for it. I don't think that's exactly true, but yeah, the people that have adhered to the original deadline that was set, they've got nothing for it, really. They've done their bit. They've got their house in order. They've rushed through or done whatever they've done to get to this point. And then, we're going to show someone else around, actually. You're thinking, I suppose there's an element of, we don't know who these people are. Ultimately, we have absolutely no idea. If we, from an official standpoint, if we're taking what the administrators say as being official, they've not sold us who it's going to be. They've whispered that we've had offers, and I'll come on to that in a second. We've had offers that are over the 30 million, or I don't think he's actually explicitly said 30 million. I think we've had offers that won't get us the 15-point deduction. So we're thinking, that's obviously a positive. We don't know who they are or anything like that. So I think when I'm when you're looking at this whole situation, you could be like, the people that have got the house in order first could be a little bit knocked and a bit pissed off, and the next one or the next one or the next one could be the one. They could be the best owner, and like you're right in what you're saying, that you have to. Where did they stop? Like, did they stop when they have got a concrete offer? Because I mean, again, I could be. It could be 2 plus 2, and I could be getting 7. But the terminology used was, they have had some offers. Now, it didn't say they've had bids. I don't know. Is an offer different to a bid? It certainly sounds like it to me, but I could be, when you're looking for something, like to hang your hat on, like, I don't know whether I've misinterpreted that a little bit. But if it's, if they haven't had, do we stop when there is an actual bid? Have we not had a bid? Is that why we're still looking? All these things, when you're so consumed by Sheffield Wednesday as we are, all these things come flying around your head all the time, and it's very hard to get your head around it. In cases, and all these, rumours got flying around, all these different scenarios start playing out in your head, and it's it's not healthy, is it, Matt? When that's happening.
No, it's not, James. But also the trade-off to that is the administrative team so far have done very little to give anybody any level of scepticism that what is not being said is not the absolute gospel, honest truth. So, and again, until there is evidential or substantial proof out there to suggest that there is some level of wool being pulled over certain people's eyes or anybody's eyes or a fan base's, then I am more than willing, the same way as I would be any level of new ownership that does, and when they do eventually come in, to completely 100% trust them. Because regardless of my own personal feelings on an administrative team and the win and the small wins that have happened as a result of obviously the previous owner being kind of like leaving the football club, etc. They know what they're doing, and I am still more than happy to let the process run its course. But again, it's new and it's fresh and it's something that is unusual and uneasy, and I don't think anybody should personally be beating themselves up about for questioning things at this point in time. I think there is a level of scepticism that is healthy, and I think there becomes a point when actually you've just got to say, do you know what, like, I know I can smell something's wrong here. This is not that time. This is very much, this is just the process playing out as it is. And I'm sure the only reason we know about so much, James, is because Kris is a fan and actually wants to do the right thing by the fan base.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that is one thing that is going for us now. You caveat that by saying they ultimately don't have a chance, have a choice, should I say, in who it's going to be officially. Like unofficially, there could be some, oh, by the way, you're not the highest bidder. You might want to put your hand in your pocket a little bit more and say that to who he wants to be the owner of Sheffield Wednesday Football Club moving forward. But look, this is the point in time where I wish I could just fast forward to whatever the date is where it's all done and sorted. Or you could just have a peek, let's have a look who it's going to be. Look into the future. Is it going to be good or is it going to be shit? I really don't know. I'm sure it will all come out in the end. Obviously, what Kris is trying to do and the administrative team trying to do, or pick a fan base up off the floor. And we were not just on the floor; we were underground. It was that bad. Yeah, and I think he's done that as well. And it's just a shame. It's just a crying shame that the results haven't picked up really. Because I think that's what's adding to this. It's like Jekyll and Hyde, isn't it? Really, it's off the pitch it's great and it's positive. On the pitch, it's not, and it's that total imbalance that we've got at the moment, which I think is causing all of this. Certainly when we're talking about this at after a match that obviously didn't happen, but when you. In midweek, it's probably a little bit different when you've not got the shit of the football to kind of cloud your judgment, I guess.
The one thing I would say, James, is what it is a great reminder of is me, you, and every other bastard on here listening to it can sit here and say, all I care about is having a strong academy built and a footballing philosophy and all the rest of it. But guess what? All of that ain't going to soften the blow of when we're losing next year 1-0 to Mansfield. That's the trade-off, isn't it? But that is the trade-off, is me and you can sit here and say, and I am a huge advocate of this, of being, actually, if it takes you 4 seasons to get out, but when you get it right, it clicks properly, and you do go up through the leagues, and you do eventually get back to competing at the top end of the Championship and even into the top division. Don't make the going through that process any easier, is the reality of the situation. It doesn't, and getting this decision correct is imperative, because there have been plenty of football clubs that have been through this situation and they haven't had the right investor post it, and they are now in League One, in League Two, have got themselves back up, but it's still not as positive as it should be.
Do you know what, though? Again, I'm not an owner, and I'm sure it's not as easy as this, but it just feels like we are such an easy club to get things right. You can do 5 things as an owner of the club and you will get probably 10 years grace. I mean, Christ, previous owner, he only did one thing and got us to the playoffs, and we gave him 10 years grace in the vast majority of fans' cases. So you don't have to do much. You'll never give us a sniff of success in the future, and as a fan base we'll just build a statue outside Hillsborough for you. We are that. It's not going to be that hard. Please, someone just buy us soon so we can do all that. Before we head off and do extra time and talk about the weather 11 and Bailey Cadamartri and everything else, let's just touch on the upcoming games. So we have got a game next weekend, but as we mentioned, it is on Monday, so we'll be speaking to you again before that game happens. We play Watford on Tuesday. No rest for the wicked, although we have had a half an hour extra rest than what Watford have had, which I'm sure Watford fans will be mentioning if we so happen to beat them. They won yesterday against Norwich, 3-2 win. Currently sit 13th in the league, 3 points from the top 6, which is mental that's even a... the league is so concertinaed.
Man. It's such a poor league this year.
Yeah, I mean, we're on the travels once again down in, well, it's not the capital, is it? It's just outside the capital, but it's certainly down that way. I suppose we do need a bit of a, change to playing how we played against Preston, I guess, is what we need to do, but we certainly just need to not play the way that we played for the first half against Blackburn, don't we?
Yeah, I would just like to see us again. I would like to see an amalgamation of the Millwall and Preston performance. I'm not asking for, to be as defensively resolute at Millwall and be as free-flowing in the first half as we were at Preston, because the two don't go hand in hand. I'm just of the opinion that, again, a midweek game away at Watford. It's the squad will be travelling down tomorrow. They travelled back from Blackburn yesterday. They'll have been on a rest day today. They'll then be travelling the following day. I would just like to see us go to a much more simple setup and actually do something that resembles a little bit more like, again, we've referenced it obviously earlier in this podcast. I'd like to see a performance that represents a little bit more of what we saw at Portsmouth, which is what I think the Millwall game was. It was a reflection of that, because we created chances in that game regardless of whether we took them or not. We did create opportunities in that. I know it's not a spectacle and a feast for the eyes, but I'd rather have that in search of going and trying to achieve some positive points, because, again, I'm under no illusions we're going down this season, but it would be nice to have something to cheer about and smile about waking up on Wednesday.
Yeah, it's no happy hunting ground, is it, Vicarage Road? We haven't won many games there. I'm just looking, actually. The last time we did win was the 14th of December, 2013. So nearly 12 years to the day since we last won there. Hazard a guess. So the 2012-2013 season, hazard a guess who was the goal scorer that day?
Whoa.
Testing your knowledge here.
13.
Yeah, so we're in the Championship.
Antonio, was he was playing for us, wasn't he?
No, he wasn't. No, I'll put you out of your misery. It was Connor Wickham that scored that day.
Of course, Connor Wickham or Matty Fryatt should have been the answer, shouldn't it?
Yeah, goalkeeper that day, Emiliano Martinez. Obviously now.
Where did he go? He's never done anything, has he?
Do you know what? His career didn't really take off. To be fair, in the same boat as Jeremy Hallan, I think, who also played that game. I mean, I will read out some more. A player who I've just totally forgotten about, and I can't even picture him. Roger Johnson.
Tall centre half, Birmingham City. Really tall, rangy centre half. Was a real Dave Jones signing that? Real Dave Jones signing.
Let's have a look at a picture of him. No, I've looked at a picture of him. I still can't picture him at all.
Still ain't got a fucking clue.
Not got a clue. Reader Johnson, Glenn Louvens, Jeremy Allan, Kieran Lee, Liam Palmer, Jose Semedo, Jacques Magoma, Stephen McPhail, and Connor Wickham. On the bench, Kirkland, Liera, Paul Corrie. That is a blast from the past.
That is a throwback. Yeah, for sure.
Jermaine Johnson, Reese McCabe, Sei Olifinjana, and Big Ati Nuiyu. We were 22nd in the league at the time, if anyone was wondering.
Reese McCabe is still going to be a footballer. I'm convinced of it. He's still going to be a player. I'm still convinced after watching that Derby and Birmingham City at home games that he's still going to be a hell of a footballer.
Has he got it in the locker?
He was a hell of a footballer for 2 games of football. My goodness me.
He was still playing up until last season, believe it or not. So
was it like Gretna or somewhere like that?
He went to Dunfermline after us, then Sligo Rovers, St Patrick's Athletic, Brecon City, Queen of the South. Are they the one that used to play at Hampden Park, Queen of the South? Or have I got that totally wrong?
Maybe.
And he's played 83 games, scoring 6 goals for Airdrieonians, and he's actually now their manager.
Wow.
There we go. Player manager. What, you don't see any of them player managers in it. He's been the manager for 3 seasons.
To be fair, lower leagues of Scotland, there is quite a bit of that goes on, to be fair. Which I think is brilliant. It's a proper 90s throwback, that, isn't it?
Matt, where's Airdrie? Should we go, Matt? Should we have a...
Fuck that. Cold is where that is.
It might be more of a not in the midst of December. That would be that would be tough. It's not too far. North Lanarkshire is Airdrie, and this is turning into next week we've got Michael. Is it Michael Attenborough on the? Is that his name, Michael? It's not, is it? It's David. I've even got that one wrong. Anyway, on that note, let's wrap it up before I embarrass myself even more. I don't know what I was thinking of, but anyway, it's not that far. It's not that far. It's not in the Outer Hebrides. It's anyway, we're not going. Join us on Patreon for more nonsense that you've just like the ones that you've just heard in the last 5 minutes. Patreon.com/WTRD pod. There is a 7-day free trial, so no excuse not to see you over there. We are going to be talking, as I mentioned, about Bailey Cadamartre. And we're going to be, I'll be a few giggles on a weather 11. I think I've got more than 11 players actually, so I've got some subs on there for us. I don't even think it's a formation. I don't even think I've got a goalkeeper. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. Thank you very much, everyone. And yeah, we'll see you over there in about 10 or 15 minutes. Cheers.